Alex had never expected to live with someone from another star system, and yet here he was, standing in a clean white room that did not feel like any place on Earth. The walls curved gently, glowing with soft light that adjusted itself every time he moved. The air smelled faintly sweet, not like flowers, but like something carefully engineered to be pleasant. Across the room stood Kurthel. She was tall, much taller than Alex, with long limbs and smooth blue-gray skin that reflected the light in strange patterns. Her eyes were large and dark without whites, and they studied Alex the way a scientist might study a new tool. She wore a fitted uniform marked with symbols Alex still could not read, and her posture was straight and confident, like someone who never expected to be questioned. "This unit is acceptable," Kurthel said, her voice calm and clear through the translator band around Alex's wrist. "You will reside here." Alex blinked. Okay. Thank you." Kurthel tilted her head slightly as if noting something in an invisible file. "Gratitude is appropriate. I am responsible for you during the duration of the exchange. Responsible for you." Alex had heard that phrase many times since arriving on the station. Humans, according to the official explanation, were part of a cultural exchange program. The aliens called it a chance to observe and nurture developing species. Humans called it diplomacy, with a polite smile. Kurthel walked toward one side of the room and tapped a glowing panel. A section of the wall opened, revealing a sleeping space designed clearly for someone her size. Then another section opened, much smaller, lower to the ground. "This is yours," she said, pointing to the smaller space. Alex hesitated for half a second, then nodded. "Looks comfortable?" "It is sufficient for your species," Kurthel replied. "I have reviewed human physical needs. You require less space and fewer environmental controls." Alex decided not to argue. He placed his bag down and took a careful look around. Everything in the room felt designed, measured, optimized. Nothing was random. Nothing was personal. Kurthel watched him quietly. "You may explore the station only in approved zones," she continued. "Your nutrition schedule will follow station standard with human adjustments. I will notify you when rest is required." Alex smiled politely. "You don't have to do all that. I can take care of myself." Kurthel paused, her eyes focused on him more sharply now. "That is unlikely." Alex felt a strange mix of irritation and amusement. "I mean, I've been doing it my whole life." "Yes," she said. "Underdeveloped environments encourage independence illusions." Alex opened his mouth, then closed it. Arguing on the first day probably wasn't smart. Instead, he shrugged. "Well, I guess I'll learn." Kurthel seemed satisfied with that answer. Good. Later that cycle, Kurthel escorted Alex through the station. The corridors were wide and filled with beings of many shapes and colors. Some floated, some walked, some moved in ways Alex could not describe. Conversations happened in sounds, lights, and movements. Translators struggled to keep up. Everywhere they went, Kurthel introduced Alex the same way. "This is my human," she would say. "Not my roommate, not my exchange partner. My human." The first time, Alex thought it was a translation issue. The second time, he felt a small twist in his stomach. By the third, he realized it was very intentional. The reactions were always similar: curiosity, mild interest, polite approval. "So small," one alien commented. "Very calm," said another. "Does it require frequent supervision?" asked a third. Kurthel answered each question smoothly. "Less than expected. It adapts well when guided." Alex stood quietly beside her, hands in his pockets, listening. He noticed how none of them asked him questions directly. They spoke about him as if he were a useful object, not rude, just assumed. At one point, During a gathering of researchers, Kirstel rested a hand lightly on Alex's shoulder while explaining something to her peers. "He is bonded to my care unit," she said. "His presence reflects my competence." Alex stiffened slightly, but said nothing. That night, back in the shared quarters, Alex lay awake in his small sleeping space. The lights dimmed automatically, following Perthel's schedule, not his. He stared at the ceiling and thought. They don't hate us, he realized. They just don't think we're people. Not really. On Earth, Alex had worked as a systems analyst, nothing glamorous. He liked patterns. He liked understanding how different parts of a system affected each other. He liked problems that didn't have clear answers. Here, on the station, everything seemed built on strict categories. Species had roles. Intelligence had levels. Responsibility flowed in one direction, and humans were at the bottom. The next few cycles passed quietly. Alex followed the rules. He ate when told, slept when told, and stayed within approved zones. Kurthel checked on him often, always calm, always certain. Yet small things began to change. Alex noticed that the food distribution system sometimes delayed meals in shared areas. Without thinking much about it, he adjusted his schedule and arrived earlier, avoiding the wait. Others noticed and followed. He noticed that a common information panel showed conflicting instructions depending on language input. One afternoon, while bored, he rearranged the display filters. The confusion disappeared. The next day, the station efficiency rating improved slightly. Kurthel received praise. "Your management of the human unit is yielding unexpected secondary benefits," a senior researcher told her. Kurthel accepted the compliment with pride.
"I maintain consistent structure." Alex overheard this from across the room and almost laughed. Back in their quarters, Kurthel addressed him.
"You've been active during unscheduled periods?"
Alex nodded. "Yeah, I couldn't sleep. This is not ideal," she said. "Unstructured behavior can lead to stress responses." "I was fine," Alex replied gently. "I just fixed a few things." Kurthel studied him. Explain." So he did. Simply. Slowly, he explained what he had noticed, how small changes could reduce confusion and wasted time. He avoided technical terms and kept his voice calm. Kurthel listened without interrupting. When he finished, she said, "You acted without instruction." "Yeah, that is not typical for dependent species." Alex smiled slightly. "Humans are used to figuring things out on our own." Kurthel did not respond immediately. She turned toward her console and reviewed data. After a moment, she said, "Your actions did not cause harm." "Good," Alex said.
"Well?"
"You may continue," she added, with observation. That night, Alex slept better. Over the following cycles, Kurthel continued to refer to Alex as hers. She adjusted his environment, corrected his posture in public, and reminded others of her responsibility. But something subtle shifted. She began to watch him more closely, not like an owner watching property, like a scientist watching an unexpected variable. Alex noticed it too. He did not push. He did not argue. He simply kept being himself. Quiet, curious, adaptive. And somewhere deep in the station's systems, numbers began to change in ways no one had predicted, not because the human was owned, but because he was paying attention. Alex began to understand the station better than he expected. It was not because anyone taught him. No one gave him lessons or manuals. The station itself taught him, slowly, through patterns and repetition. Lights dimmed at certain cycles. Corridors became crowded at predictable times. Certain species avoided others without being told to. Rules existed everywhere, but many of them were unspoken. Kurthel followed these rules perfectly. Alex noticed that she never hesitated, never paused to question. If the system said something was correct, then it was correct. That confidence impressed others. It also limited them. Alex, on the other hand, hesitated often. He watched, he listened, he waited. One cycle, Kurthel brought Alex to a shared research lounge. It was a wide space, filled with floating screens, soft seating, and quiet conversation. Many high-ranking researchers gathered there to exchange ideas. Alex was told to sit and remain quiet. He did. While Kurthel spoke with her peers, Alex looked around. He noticed that several screens showed the same data, but arranged differently. Some species seemed confused by one version but understood another. Others ignored the screens completely and relied on personal devices. The system was giving everyone the same information, but not in a way everyone could use. Alex leaned back and thought about it. Later that cycle, when the lounge was mostly empty, Alex approached one of the screens. No one stopped him. Humans were considered harmless. He adjusted the display layout, not changing the data, just how it flowed. Less clutter, clear steps, visual connections instead of strict categories. The next time researchers gathered, discussions moved faster. Fewer questions were repeated. Frustration dropped. Once again, Kurthel received quiet praise. She accepted it, but this time, she looked at Alex afterward. "You interacted with restricted systems," she said. "I didn't break anything," Alex replied calmly. "I am aware," she said. "That is notable." Alex smiled slightly. "You're welcome?" Kurthel did not correct him. As cycles passed, Alex's reputation grew, though no one spoke to him directly. They spoke around him. The human adjusts environments efficiently. It responds well to complex stimuli. Perhaps Kurthel's unit is unusually advanced. Kurthel listened to these comments with mixed feelings. Pride was still there, but something else had joined it. Uncertainty. She had reviewed human files many times. Humans were rated as adaptable, but emotionally driven. Creative, but unfocused. Useful as companions, assistants, morale stabilizers. Nothing in the files explained Alex. One cycle, Kurthel brought Alex to a formal evaluation chamber. It was rare for a human to be present there. "Why am I here?" Alex asked as they walked. "To observe," Kurthel replied. "And to be observed." The chamber was filled with softly glowing symbols. Several researchers waited inside. They spoke in precise tones. "The human will respond to stimulus patterns," one said. Alex sat where he was told. Lights shifted. Sounds changed. Symbols rearranged themselves. Alex followed along easily. Not because it was easy, but because it reminded him of home. Complex systems. Poorly explained rules. Conflicting inputs. He did what humans always did. He adapted. After the evaluation, silence filled the chamber. "The response speed is inconsistent with classification," one researcher said. "Emotional interference should have caused errors," said another. Kurthel felt her posture stiffen. "He is under my supervision," she said firmly. "Any deviation reflects my guidance." Alex glanced at her but said nothing. That night, back in their quarters, Kurthel did something unexpected. She asked Alex a question. "Why did you perform efficiently under uncertainty?" she asked. Alex thought for a moment. "Because that's normal for us." "Explain," she said. Alex sat down on the edge of his sleeping space. "Humans didn't evolve in stable systems. Our world changes a lot. Weather, people, rules, resources. We mess up all the time. So we learn to deal with it." Kurthel processed this. "Your species accepts error?" Alex laughed softly. "We expect it." That answer stayed with her. From then on, Kurthel began to adjust how she spoke about Alex. Not publicly, not yet. But privately, her language softened. She still said "my human" in front of others. But when alone, she asked more questions. What would you do in this situation? How would humans solve this? Alex answered honestly, never trying to impress. Slowly, Herthel started using his ideas. The station began running more smoothly. Then the problem appeared. It started small. Resource distribution delays. Not dangerous, but inconvenient. Different species blamed different causes. Data contradicted itself. Committees formed. Reports were filed. Nothing improved. Alex noticed the pattern within 2 cycles. It wasn't a technical failure. It was a social one. Each species optimized for its own needs. No one adjusted for overlap. The system assumed cooperation would happen naturally. It didn't. Alex brought it up carefully. "Kerthal," he said. "1 cycle. Can I show you something?" She hesitated, then nodded. He explained the issue simply. How small scheduling changes could prevent conflict. How shared incentives could reduce strain. How the system needed flexibility, not stricter rules. Kerthal listened in silence. "This is not your responsibility," she said finally. "I know," Alex replied. "But it's a problem. You are a dependent participant," she said. "You should not concern yourself with station-wide structure." Alex met her gaze. Calm. Respectful. Then why does it make sense to me? Kerthal had no answer. The issue escalated. Tension grew between research groups. Productivity dropped. The station council demanded solutions. Kerthal was summoned. She stood before the council and hesitated for the first time in her career. "I have an observation," she said slowly, "from my human." The chamber grew quiet. "A dependent species unit?" someone asked. "Yes," Kerthal said, "but the analysis is sound." She presented Alex's model. Silence followed. Then discussion. Careful, reluctant. Curious, the model worked. Not perfectly, but better than anything else. The council approved a limited trial. Within cycles, efficiency stabilized. Kerthal returned to her quarters and stood silently for a long time. Alex waited. "You were correct," she said finally. Alex smiled. "It happens." She looked at him. Really looked at him. "You are not behaving like something that belongs to me," she said. Alex tilted his head. "Did I ever?" Kerthal did not respond. That night, she adjusted the room settings without announcing it. The lights dimmed later. Alex noticed and said nothing. The station's internal systems flagged a new anomaly. Human participant. Alex classification. Under review, no 1, told Alex. He was busy helping a station that still thought he was owned. And that misunderstanding was becoming dangerous, not because humans were weak, but because they were being underestimated. The station no longer felt quiet. Alex did not notice it at first, but the air around him had changed. Conversations paused when he entered a room. Eyes followed him more often. Screens dimmed or shifted away when he stood nearby. No one spoke to him directly, yet his presence now carried weight. Kerthal noticed everything. She had spent many cycles observing others. It was how her species survived, by watching, measuring, and controlling. And now, for the first time, the thing she was observing most closely was the human who lived in her quarters. Alex had not changed. He still walked at the same pace, spoke with the same calm voice, and followed the same routines. He still asked permission before entering restricted areas. Still thanked service units. Still smiled when confused. But the station was reacting to him. Data requests linked back to his earlier changes. System optimizations carried his fingerprints, even when his name was not mentioned. Committees referenced human-derived adaptive logic, without explaining what that meant. Kerthal read those reports in silence. 1 cycle, she was summoned again. this time not as a proud supervisor, but as a questioned authority. The human under your care is influencing station-wide behavior, a council member stated.
That is expected, Kurthel replied carefully. Humans are responsive to structure. No, another corrected.
The station is responding to him. Kurthel felt something unfamiliar press against her thoughts. Pressure. He acts only when permitted, she said. He has not violated any protocol. That is the concern, the council replied. He navigates protocol instead of resisting it. After the meeting, Kurthel returned to her quarters earlier than planned. Alex was seated near the wall, reviewing a public data feed. He looked up when she entered. "Hey," he said.
"You're back early?"
She studied him for a long moment.
"What are you doing?" "Just reading," Alex said.
"People are stressed. That is a general condition," she replied. "Yeah, but it's getting worse." Kurthel crossed the room slowly. "Why do you think that is?" Alex hesitated. "Because the station is built on assumptions that aren't holding anymore." "Explain," she said. Alex leaned forward. "The galaxy thinks humans are simple. The station treats us like support units, but now people are using our ideas. That breaks their models. And when models break, people panic." Kurthel felt a subtle chill. "You speak as if this was predictable." Alex smiled faintly. "It is. On Earth, this happens all the time." She said nothing. That cycle, Kurthel made a decision she would have once found unthinkable. She asked Alex to attend a private strategy discussion. The room was smaller than the council chamber. Only 5 beings sat inside, all senior planners. When Alex entered behind Kurthel, the room went silent. "This is unnecessary," one said.
"He is present by my authority,"
Kurthel replied. Alex stayed near the wall, hands relaxed at his sides. The discussion began. They spoke about instability, classification errors, and emerging risks. They spoke in abstract terms, avoiding direct reference to Alex, even though he stood right there. Alex listened. After a while, he raised his hand slightly. The room froze. "He is speaking," someone said. Kurthel did not stop him. "I think the problem isn't humans," Alex said carefully. "It's how the station understands intelligence." Silence followed. "You classify intelligence by function," he continued. "Engineering, strategy, emotion, logic. Humans don't separate those. We mix them. That makes us unpredictable, but also flexible." "That is inefficient," one planner said. Alex nodded. "Yeah. But it works when systems change." Kurthel watched their reactions closely. Fear, interest, resistance. "You treat humans like pets," Alex said, still calm. "But pets don't redesign the house when it starts falling apart." That statement echoed longer than it should have. The meeting ended shortly after. Outside the room, Kurthel stopped walking. "You should not have said that," she told him. Alex looked at her. Was it wrong? "No," she said quietly. "That is the issue." Later, Kurthel reviewed station law. She had always known it well. Now she read it differently. Any being capable of independent strategic reasoning could not be owned, supervised as property, or claimed under custodial language. Her chest tightened. She had introduced Alex as my human dozens of times. If the station reclassified him, her claim would not protect him. It would endanger him. That night, she did not adjust the lights. She let Alex choose when to sleep. In the following cycles, the station began to divide, not openly, but clearly. Some species argued for tighter controls. Others suggested isolating humans. A few quietly asked for more human participants. Alex noticed the tension and stayed careful. One cycle, a junior researcher approached him directly for the first time. "How do humans handle uncertainty without hierarchy?" they asked. Alex blinked, surprised. "We argue. A lot. The researcher processed this. That sounds unstable." "It is," Alex said. "But it lets better ideas win sometimes." Word spread. Humans were no longer just companions. They were variables, dangerous ones. Kurthel was summoned again. The human must be reassigned, the council said. His influence is disproportionate. Kurthel felt something sharp rise in her. "No," she said. That word shocked the chamber. "He is under my care," she continued, "and his behavior has stabilized the station." "The risk is increasing," the council replied. Kurt spoke, slowly. "Then the risk is not him. It is your refusal to adapt." When she returned to the quarters, Alex sensed the tension immediately. "Am I in trouble?" he asked. Kurtle hesitated. "Yes," she said. Alex nodded. "That tracks. You do not seem afraid," she observed. "I am," he said. "But fear doesn't stop things from happening." She looked at him. "If the station removes you, you will lose protection." Alex smiled gently. "I never really had it, did I?" Kurthel did not answer. That cycle, she did something unprecedented. She corrected herself. In a public forum, when asked about her human, she said, "Alex is not mine." The room went silent. "He chooses to remain," she added. "That distinction matters." The station's systems updated quietly. Human status, pending sovereign recognition. Alex did not know yet. He was busy helping beings who were only just realizing that the human living in their station was not owned, controlled, or harmless. He was human, and the galaxy was finally starting to understand what that meant. The station felt tense in a new way. Before, the tension had been quiet and distant, like a system running slightly out of balance. Now it felt closer, heavier, like everyone was waiting for something to happen, but did not know what it would be. Alex noticed it in small ways. Service units paused longer when addressing him. Doors opened a second faster. Some beings avoided him completely, while others watched him with open curiosity. A few nodded to him, uncertain but respectful. Kurthel noticed more than anyone. She saw how her peers now hesitated when speaking around Alex. She heard how they avoided the word dependent. She felt the shift in how authority flowed, not upward, not downward, but sideways. That scared them. It scared her, too. One cycle. A station-wide announcement echoed softly through the corridors. Not an alarm, not an order. A notice. All human participants are temporarily restricted to assigned quarters while classification review continues. Alex heard it while sitting at the shared table in their room. He looked up slowly. "Is that about me?" he asked. Kurthel stood very still. "Yes," she said. "So, I'm grounded?" Alex tried to joke. "This is not a minor measure," she replied. "They are afraid." Alex nodded. "That makes sense." Kurthel turned to face him. "No. It does not." She surprised herself with the sharpness of her voice. "They are afraid because their system is fragile," she continued. "Not because you are dangerous." Alex studied her expression. "You don't sound like someone who believes in the system anymore." "I believe in outcomes," she said quietly. "And you have improved them." Alex smiled a little. "You're saying nice things about me now." She did not respond. Later that cycle, Kurtle accessed restricted legal archives. Her clearance protested, but she persisted. She needed to understand the full consequences of what she had done. Her claim. The words replayed in her mind. My human. At the time, it had felt natural. The cat. Her species believed responsibility equaled ownership. Care meant control. Protection meant authority, but the law was clear. Claiming a being capable of independent strategy was not just incorrect. It was a violation. If the council decided to pursue it, the blame would fall on her, and Alex would pay the price. The thought tightened something inside her. That night, Alex noticed she did not rest.
"You're pacing," he said gently.
I am calculating,
she replied.
About me? Yes. Alex leaned back. I'm sorry. She stopped moving. Why? Because I messed up your career, he said simply. Herthel looked at him sharply.
You did not. I didn't mean to cause trouble, Alex added. I just...
Can't stop seeing problems. That is not a flaw, she said.
Alex raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? I am, she replied. Your existence has exposed weaknesses we refuse to acknowledge. Alex was quiet for a moment. They're not going to like that. No, she said.
They will try to contain it.
The next cycle, Curdle was summoned again. This time, the chamber was full. More observers, more distance. The human's influence continues despite restrictions, the council said. Other species are requesting direct access to human advisors.
That is progress, Kurthel replied.
That is contamination, another voice argued. Alex was not present, but his name was everywhere.
The simplest solution is reassignment, the council concluded. Remove the human from this station.
Curdle felt something inside her snap into clarity. No, she said, again.
You do not have authority to refuse, the council replied. I do, she said calmly.
Because this situation exists due to my claim. The chamber fell silent. You acknowledge improper ownership language? One member asked.
Yes, Curdle said. I acknowledge error. That admission shocked them more than any argument.
Then responsibility falls to you, the council said. I accept it, she replied. They did not expect that. Kurthel continued. If Alex is removed, the instability will increase. Humans do not function as isolated units. They influence systems by presence, not command. This is speculation, the council said. No, she answered. This is observation. She paused, then said the words that changed everything. Alex is not property. He is not a dependent. He is choosing to help. And if you remove choice, you remove cooperation. The council recessed. When Curdle returned to the quarters, Alex could tell immediately. You did something big, he said. Yes, she replied. Good big or bad big? She met his eyes.
That depends on how humans handle being trusted.
Alex laughed softly. Oh, you're really taking a risk then? She hesitated. Would you leave if they allowed you? Alex thought about it.
This station is a mess, he said.
But it's an interesting mess. That is not an answer, she said. It is for a human, he replied. Over the next cycles, restrictions loosened quietly. Humans were allowed limited interaction again. Committees requested human input, officially, though carefully. Alex was invited to discussions, not ordered. The difference mattered. He noticed how people listened differently when they chose to listen. Kurthel watched him navigate these spaces with ease. He never demanded authority, never used status. He asked questions, suggested connections, and stepped back when needed. He did not try to lead. He let systems lead themselves. That terrified the station. One cycle, an internal audit completed its review. Human classification, strategic generalist. Species ownership status, invalid custodial claims. Prohibited Kurthel. Read the update alone. Her claim was officially erased. She felt relief. Then, something else. Loss. That night, she stood in the doorway of their shared quarters. "You are no longer assigned here," she said.
Alex looked up slowly. "Oh, you may choose where to reside," she continued.
Alex was quiet for a long time. "And you?" he asked.
"I have been reassigned pending review," she said.
Alex frowned. "That doesn't seem fair." She tilted her head. "Fairness is not a station priority."
Alex stood up.
"Then let me say something." She waited. "I stayed because I wanted to," he said. "Not because you claimed me. And if I go, it won't erase what you did right." Her voice was careful. "What did I do right?" "You listened," Alex said, "when you didn't have to." She felt something unfamiliar rise in her chest. Choice. Outside the quarters, the station continued to adjust. Humans were no longer background noise. They were participants, not rulers, not weapons, variables. And the galaxy was learning that variables could not be owned, isolated, or controlled forever. Alex packed his bag slowly. Kurthel watched, uncertain for the first time. "Where will you go?" she asked. Alex smiled. "I haven't decided yet." That, more than anything, made the station uneasy, because humans did not need permission to stay, and they did not need fear to leave. Alex did not leave immediately. After packing his bag, he placed it near the door and sat down again. The room felt different now, not because anything had changed, but because nothing was assigned anymore. No schedules adjusted themselves. No lights dimmed automatically. The station had removed its quiet assumptions. Kurthel noticed the silence. "You are free to go," she said carefully. "No record will question that." Alex nodded.
I know. And yet you remain.
Alex smiled. "Yeah. Humans do that." Kurthel did not ask him to explain. She was learning that humans often stayed not because they had to, but because they wanted to understand what came next. Outside their quarters, the station struggled to redefine itself. Notices were rewritten, protocols softened. Committees added words like voluntary and collaborative, as if those ideas were dangerous chemicals that needed careful handling. Humans were no longer classified as dependents. They were something worse, unpredictable equals. Other humans began to arrive. Not many, but enough. Engineers, mediators, teachers. None of them asked for authority. None of them demanded control. They simply observed and adjusted. The station changed faster after that. One cycle, Alex was invited to a council session, not to speak, just to attend. Kurthel accompanied him, no longer as a supervisor, but as a peer under review. As they entered the chamber, the mood was different from before. Less tension, more uncertainty. "We have reached a conclusion," the council announced. "The presence of humans improves adaptive resilience." Alex leaned back slightly. "That's a long way of saying we're useful." The council paused. "Yes," one finally said. "But not in ways we can own." Kurthel felt a strange warmth at that. The council continued. "We wish to establish a new framework. Humans will not be placed. They will be invited. Participation will be mutual." "Alex!" Alex raised a hand slightly. "Quick question." The council hesitated, then allowed it. "What happens if we say no?" Silence. "That," Alex said gently, "is the real test." The council approved the framework anyway. After the session, Kurthel and Alex walked the long corridor back toward the quarters they no longer officially shared. "You changed them," she said. Alex shook his head. "They changed themselves. I just showed them a mirror." stopped walking. I claimed you, she said quietly, and that claim almost harmed you. Alex turned to face her. You also stopped it. That does not erase the first action.
No.
Alex agreed, but it explains the second. She studied him. Why do humans forgive so easily? Alex shrugged. We don't. We just keep moving. That night, Kurthel received her final evaluation. Her improper claim was recorded. Her authority was reduced. Her career path altered permanently. She read the decision without anger. Then she closed the file and went to find Alex. He was sitting in a common area, talking with a group of researchers, not leading, just listening. When he noticed her, he excused himself and walked over. They demoted you, he said gently. Yes, she replied. I'm sorry. She considered the words, then shook her head. I am not. Alex blinked. I gained something more valuable, she continued. Perspective. He smiled. Careful, that stuff's addictive. They shared a quiet moment. I will be reassigned, she said, to a different station. Alex nodded slowly. When? Soon. He looked around. I guess this is goodbye then. Is it? She asked. Alex paused. No.
I don't think it is.
Kurthel felt something loosen inside her. Before departing, she made one final public statement. In a station-wide forum, she addressed her peers. I once believed responsibility required ownership, she said. I was wrong. True responsibility is knowing when to release control. Her words spread far beyond the station. Other outposts took notice. Humans were no longer listed under exchange property. They were listed under choice-based collaboration. Alex chose to stay. Not because the station needed him, because he was curious. Months passed. The station became louder, messier, more alive. Arguments happened openly. Mistakes were admitted faster. Systems bent instead of breaking. Efficiency dipped sometimes. Resilience rose always. Other species began copying the model. Invite, not assign. Trust, not claim. Alex received offers. Leadership roles, titles, power. He declined them all. When asked why, he answered honestly. Humans don't need to own the room to change it. One day, as Alex walked through a familiar corridor, he passed a new sign, Human Advisory Wing Entry by Mutual Consent. Only he smiled. Kurtzel sent a message from her new assignment. The station is unstable, she wrote. Alex replied. Good. That means it's alive, she added. They asked if I own my human. Alex typed back. And? I said no. She replied, I said humans stay because they choose to. Alex sat back and looked out through the station's viewing panel at the stars. Humanity had not arrived with force. They had arrived with patience. The galaxy had not been conquered. It had been confused. And confusion, humans knew, was the first step toward change. Somewhere in the data archives, a final note was added to humanity's file. Humans do not belong to those who claim them. They belong to the future they decide to build. And that frightened the galaxy more than any weapon ever could, because humans did not need permission to matter. They only needed a place to stand. And now, the stars were listening.